Hi everybody, I'm Scott and welcome. Today I'm going to talk about the Silmarillion again. This is part 3 of 4, so we basically read pages 150 through 225, and that is Quentas 18 through 21. And I'm reading this with David Wiley and Steve Donoghue. I'm the one of our little group this is my first read of it, and David Wiley and Steve Donoghue have both read this before and have incredible insights. So I'm linking down to their channels below, and definitely watch those because they're bringing a lot to the table, and I'm learning a ton. By the way, first of all, David Wiley was absolutely correct. This third is just pure gold. These Quentas are fantastic. It has, I think, the famous one, Beren and Luthien, which I had heard of, well, because I read Lord of the Rings, right? It's probably, well, I guess I can't say. I maybe David or Steve could let me know, but it seems awfully important to Tolkien. I know that, I guess, it goes without saying that it's important to Tolkien. I mean, he put it on his gravestone, I guess. That's what I'm reading. Again, they can give me insight, but not only that, but there is a poem that Tolkien was writing in even from the 30s called, and I wrote it down here, the Lay of Luthien, and apparently there's thousands of lines of this poem, 4,200 lines, and it wasn't ever even finished, and it says here on Wikipedia that the Lay of Luthien is an unfinished poem written by J.R.R. Tolkien around 1925. So The Hobbit was published in 1937. So he was doing this even before then. It's just incredible to me. And he played with this all the way up till his death, which I think was 1973, 1974, something like that. So wow. That's 50 years. So 50 years of editing this material, just incredible. But first, in chapter 18 we have on the ruin of Beleriand, and this was awesome. There was a battle here between Fingolfin, who is an elf, and Morgoth, who you remember is the bad guy. Used to be called Melkor, and then was renamed by Fëanor. And I forgot what the name actually means, but Morgoth means something very specific, and after some battle or something, Fëanor says, "You are now Morgoth, the whatever." So, but this is really powerful stuff. I just wanted to read this little section. It says, "Then Fingolfin beheld, as it seemed to him, the utter ruin of the Noldor, and the defeat beyond redress of all their houses. And filled with wrath and despair, he mounted upon the Roquelaure, his great horse, and rode forth alone, and none might restrain him. He passed over Duran Faglith like a wind amid the dust, and all that beheld his onset fled in amaze, thinking that Orome himself was come, for a great madness of rage was upon him, so that his eyes shone like the eyes of the Valar. Then he came alone to Angband's gates, and he sounded his horn, and smote once more upon the brazen doors, and challenged Morgoth to come forth to single combat. And Morgoth came." Awesome. That was just great. I read that and it was just like, yeah, baby. So that's wonderful stuff. Fingolfin and Morgoth, have it out, and Morgoth, he takes the day, but is wounded. Morgoth has carrying a lot of wounds at this point. He has been, in pretty much constant battle for a very long time. Pretty much since Fëanor's time, it's just been a constant battling between good and evil. Not that it wasn't before, but before it was. You read about Melkor running around causing people discord and stuff. Well, nobody's listening to him anymore, causing discord. He's like, just the evil figure, the evil king in Angband, and there's just a constant fighting. But that was good stuff. And Sauron is introduced in a big way. He was introduced earlier, but now Sauron in this chapter, chapter 18, it says, Sauron was become now a sorcerer of dreadful power, master of shadows and of phantoms, foul in wisdom, cruel in strength, misshaping what he touched, twisting what he ruled, lord of the werewolves. His dominion was torment. He took Minas Tirith by assault, for a dark cloud of fear fell upon those who defended it, and Orodeth was driven out and fled to Nargothrond. Then Sauron made it into a watchtower for Morgoth, a stronghold of evil and a menace, and the fair isle of Tol Sirion became accursed, and it was called Tol in Garhoth, the Isle of Werewolves. Yeah, fantastic. So there's Sauron for you, so Sauron works for Morgoth, and so Morgoth is one better, I guess. You know what I mean? You have Sauron, and then Morgoth is supposed to be even more, evil. So incredible, really great stuff. So it's really something to read, that origin, and then we get into Beren and Luthien, and Beren and Luthien, Beren is human, and Luthien is an elf. Not only is she an elf, she's like a super elf, I guess. She's the daughter of Thingol, and is it Methian? But Methian is not an elf. She's like a I don't know. I'm not actually positive what she is, but she's like more than an elf. You know what I mean? There's some level at which she's higher. So maybe David or Steve can give me some more insight there. But that's my impression. So she's a special elf. She's not even average. And everybody loves her. She is in love with her. And Beren, who is a human, falls in love with her, and that's the story. So the story was told by Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, and I think she's mentioned somewhere else too. But in the story between Aragorn and Arwen, which is just hinted at in Lord of the Rings, the book, but brought more out in Lord of the Rings, the movies, is a mirror of Beren and Luthien. So Beren loves Luthien. I don't know whether to tell the whole story. I'll just tell a little bit. But Beren loves Luthien. He goes to Thingol, her father, and says, "Hey, I really like her." Thingol is not pleased. He doesn't really want this match. So he says, let's see if I can find this really quick. So he can see, he doesn't want to kill this guy himself. So he instead, which is a trope that's used in many legends and myths, he's going to give this guy an impossible task. So he says, I desire a treasure that is withheld. For rock and steel in the fires of Morgoth keep the jewel that I would possess against all the powers of the elf kingdoms. Yet I hear you say that bonds such as these do not daunt you. Go your way, therefore. Bring me in your hand a Silmaril from Morgoth's crown, and then, if she will, Luthien may set her hand in yours. Then you shall have my jewel, and though fate of Arda and though the fate of Arda lie within the Silmarils, yet you shall hold me generous. So he's like, yeah, go get me a Silmaril, which all three of them are in the crown of Morgoth, and then you can marry my daughter. And then Beren laughs and says, for little price do elven kings sell their daughters, for gems and things made by craft. But if this be your will, Thingol, I will perform it. And when we meet again, my hand shall hold a Silmaril from the Iron Crown, for you have not looked the last upon Beren, son of Berahir. So he's like, all right, I'll get her done. So off he goes. And I can tell you that that prophecy, or if you want to call it a prophecy, his promise comes true. So, but it's a terrific read. It is that mythic style, but this all comes together, and it's one of the longest stories so far, as well as the one shortly after it, the last one we read, which was of Turamrar, and on that one, I mean, it's got all kinds of stuff. You've got again, you know, in that mythic style. So Turambar, and that's the name of the chapter in 21. And here you have a person who is taken in by a king, right? And but he accidentally is involved with the death of the son of this king, and even though he is forgiven, he doesn't want to come back because he fears that he's not worthy anymore. And so off he goes, and it's a really tragic, kind of sad story. There's a dragon in it. There's a dwarf in it. It's really excellent. So this section of the Silmarillion has just been really just a wonderful read. I can highly recommend that. You know, the I didn't find it as difficult or tedious as the previous one. Why that is, I'm not sure. I mean, it's in the same language. You know, possibly it was Steve just saying, hey, this is the way it is, just let it ride, which I tried to do. And part of it was probably the fact that 2 of the 4 chapters that we read were long and narrative. It was, you could really get your teeth in here. I mean, you really were reading something stunning, beautiful, and a story that could be followed. So it wasn't merely, you know, like a chapter or 2 in the previous section, you know, a description of the land and all these other things. There was this is good story told in that mythic way. So I'm really looking forward to finishing this out. We've got one more section left, and yeah, so I've left links to Steve and David. I'm really looking forward to what they have to say, because it's been really educational, and it's been a really pleasant read. It's got me interested in a lot of other things. You know, one of the strange things about reading this myth that Tolkien invented, right? It's got me thinking about what myth is. It's got me thinking about you know, my own religion. I am Catholic like Tolkien. You know, my own religion, and spending more time with, you know, the Old Testament, like what Steve was saying, you know, the book of Samuel and things like that. I need to spend more time with that. And I have lots of the Viking sagas that we read. The Njal saga has been, you know, it's all a similar experience, and stuff I want to delve into. So I'm definitely going to do that. I'm really getting into this kind of thing. So that's been an effect of reading it, is making me want to read more of the myth that is true. And I hope that you have an excellent day. Thank you for watching.